You're up 22 points in the fourth quarter and you lose. There's less than 8 minutes in the game in the fourth quarter. You're up 22 points and you lose. That's what just happened to the Cleveland Cavaliers as they were up 93-71. Donovan Mitchell hit the three to basically put a bow on it, and you can hear a pin drop inside of Madison Square Garden. And then all of a sudden, Jalen Brunson had different plans. Knicks go on a 44-11 run. 44-11 run. Brunson banks in that floater with 19 seconds left to go into overtime, and that's when you knew the Cavs had no shot in overtime. What happened? Final score, Knicks 115, Cavs 104. That was the largest comeback in Eastern Conference Finals history, the biggest playoff comeback in Knicks franchise history, and ESPN Analytics gave the Knicks a 0.1% chance of winning when they were down 22 in the fourth. Let me say that again, 0.1%. And no, that was just the East, because 2 days ago in Oklahoma City, Victor Wembanyama put up 41 points and 24 rebounds as the Spurs took a 1-0 lead over the defending champs, Oklahoma City Thunder. And they did that in OK City with De'Aaron Fox out with an ankle injury. I'll be honest, I'm not a huge NBA guy. I was a huge NBA guy in the 90s with Jordan. Last year, I started to become more of a fan. But this year, these NBA playoffs are must-watch TV. And we need to talk about it. But first, let me tell you who I am and what channel you just stumbled upon. Welcome to Edge King Media. Edge King Media. I'm Brian Pennington, and this is a channel I've been thinking about building for a long time because I noticed there's a massive gap in sports media that nobody is filling. Here's the problem. You got your news channels. You got the ESPN, the Bleacher Report, the Athletic, Pat McAfee Show, which I'm a huge fan of. And those are all great for what's happening in sports, in the sports world, but they're useless for making money from it. And then on the other side, you got all your DFS and betting channels, the fantasy gurus, the four deeps, the fill in the blank, all those projection guys, the lineup optimizers, the handicappers who know the numbers but couldn't tell a compelling sports story if their lives depended on it. That's why I'm building this channel. It does both. It's going to bring in all the sports news, the breaking news, the drama, the storylines, bring all of that in. Also, I've been playing daily fantasy sports and betting on sports independently for over 20 years now. And not just casually, not just as a hobby, but the real process, real research, real money on the line. I'm a huge sports guy, but I'm also huge into fantasy and sports betting. And I want to merge these two. So that's what this channel is going to be all about. You're going to get the sports news and the drama, the stories like what just happened last night in New York, what Wemby's doing in the West, the NFL offseason stories that matter, the scandals, the trades, the chaos, all of it. And on top of it, you're going to be getting DFS strategy, PrizePicks picks, sportsbook analysis, lineup construction that turns that same knowledge into an actual edge because those two things are connected and nobody is making that connection for you right now. That's Edge King Media. Sports media for people who want to know what's happening, but also win money from it. There's going to be videos where I'm just talking about storylines, or maybe there might be a breaking news story, or it could be NFL season. I'm going to go into my lineup and my analysis for that week. Sometimes the video is going to have both, but I want to combine these two and make Edge King Media the largest sports media company in the world. And I know that sounds crazy when you have the ESPNs and the Barstool Sports out there, but I'm telling you, there's something here and we're going to build a community and we're all going to be part of it. And I hope you guys enjoy every second of it. Okay, so let's talk about what happened last night in Madison Square Garden because it's one of those nights you're going to remember forever. The Knicks were getting absolutely cooked in the second half. Cavs were playing beautiful. Mitchell had 29 points. And like I said earlier, Cleveland was up 93-71 with less than 8 minutes to go. The game was over. And then Jalen Brunson said, absolutely not. He personally scored 11 points straight in the comeback. The Garden woke up. All of a sudden, all the New Yorkers were going crazy inside Madison Square Garden. And the Cavs went absolutely ice cold. They shot 22% the rest of the way after being up 22. New York went on that 44-11 run to end the game. And when Brunson banked in that floater in the final seconds of regulation, that building went insane. And you knew it was over. The Knicks were winning game one. And that's what happened. They dominated in overtime and won by 11. Some final stat lines. Brunson, 38 points, 6 assists, 3 steals, 15 of 29 shooting. The man willed that win into existence and played out of his mind at the end of that game. Now, here's my take, and this is why it matters both as a fan and for how we think about this series. The Cavs went ice cold in the worst possible moment. They were playing great basketball until the end. And in the end, Mitchell missed every single shot he attempted. From the moment that he hit that three to go up 22, he didn't make a shot at the rest of the game. Every single one off. That's not just a bad night. That's a guy who disappeared in a moment where his team needed him the most. And honestly, Cavs fans should probably be a little nervous about that. But here's the flip side. The Knicks couldn't make a three-pointer to save their lives last night either. 4 for 23, I think they went from deep. That's unsustainable. They're going to shoot better than that. And they got away with it because Brunson's one of the most clutch players in the league right now. But if they're shooting 17% from three in game 2, they're not coming back from 22 again. So what does that mean for the rest of the series? Cleveland has to come out, put game 1 in the rearview mirror, and think about how they played 80, 90% of that game. Their best players vanished in the fourth quarter. So if Mitchell doesn't respond with a big performance on Thursday, the series can get uncomfortable very fast, and it could be a sweep. Now, personally, I do think Mitchell is going to come out firing, but that's going to be that's tomorrow. Let's talk about tonight's game. Before we do that, though, I want to take a step back. As far as New York, they have Brunson, they have the crowd, historical momentum. The team that wins game 1 in the conference finals has won that series, I believe, 78, little less than 80% of the time in NBA history. So file that away if you want to talk about series winners. I think right now they're minus 425, so obviously you're not getting great odds, but I think it's pretty hard for the Cavs to come back and win this series, in my opinion. Now, as far as anyone thinking about betting or a DFS angle for game 2, it's Thursday on ESPN. Brunson's props probably going to be a little inflated. I think he's scoring is 28. I think it's even money, or I think it might be minus 110 for 28 points. I'm probably going to stay away from that. Probably just going to fade it completely. The Cavs are going to come out desperate. Mitchell's going to be aggressive early. I personally think that's a great spot for his points prop in game 2. But I'll talk more about that in our video tomorrow. Okay. If you didn't watch that Spurs and Thunder on Monday night, you missed a hell of a game. Like I said earlier, Wemby went 41 for 24 rebounds in 49 minutes played. Double overtime win in Oklahoma City against the defending champion Thunder without De'Aaron Fox. Let's put those numbers into context for you. The last player to get 40 points and 20 rebounds in a conference finals game, take a guess. Anyone? I'm very certain you probably weren't born when this happened, because it happened in 1960. The last time a player had 40 points, 20 rebounds in a conference final games was Wilt Chamberlain in 1960. He joined a playoff 40 and 20 club that includes Shaq. Now this is Wemby I'm talking about. The 40 and 20 club in the playoffs was Shaq, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Chuck Barkley, Hakeem Olajuwon, David Robinson, and Jokic. By the way, Wemby joined this club at the ripe age of 22 years old. The thing that gets me is how he did it. The Spurs were down 3 with 27 seconds left in the first overtime. I honestly thought the game was over. And then all of a sudden, Wemby goes and hits a Caitlin Clark logo three-pointer to tie it. It wasn't just a corner 3 or an and 1. It was a Caitlin Clark logo 3. Then in double overtime, he forces Chet Holmgren into a shot clock violation on the very first possession, then dunks it one-handed down the lane, and then hits 2 free throws after that. He took the game over and refused to let his team lose. He honestly might be an alien. That guy's built in the lab. I don't understand how you can stop him. I don't think anyone knows how you can stop him. The guy is just must-watch TV, and he's doing stuff that a lot of us have never seen. I don't think anyone's ever seen, to be honest with you. And the Spurs won that game 1 without their second best player, De'Aaron Fox, the guy they traded for in a blockbuster deal this past winter, who sat out with a right ankle sprain, and they still won. That's a very impressive win in OK City if I'm a Spurs fan. Now, here's the question everyone needs to be asking. Can the Thunder actually stop Wemby? I don't think it's possible. Chet Holmgren finished with 8 points. 8. That was supposed to be their answer to Wemby. And the NBA obviously roasted Chet immediately after the game. And look, he's a great player, but Wemby is in a completely different category, on a different planet, and he's playing like the best player in the world right now. Now, as far as some props for this game, I do think Chet Holmgren was ice cold. Obviously, everyone was ripping him afterwards. I do like his double-double prop tonight. He has gotten, I think, 27 or 28 double-doubles And right now you can get him at plus 172 for a double-double. So as terrible as he played game one, I think he comes out a little bit hotter. And at a double-double, he's done it, like I said, 27 or 28 times this year. I think that's great. At plus 172, I would put at least a unit on that. Now, OK City has home court. They have SGA, who just won his second straight MVP award, and Jalen Brunson obviously is a hell of a ball player with everyone else on that team. So the series is definitely not over. But if I'm betting this right now, I think I like the Spurs to win the series. I think right now they're still plus money to win the series, which I thought was a little strange, but plus money to win the series. And Wemby, he's just unstoppable. So there's two bets that I have tonight that I really like. There's three, actually. I told you about the Chet double-double at plus 172, I think it was. I also like the first points scored tonight by SGA. Right now, it's at plus 730 for SGA to have the first point scored in the game. So I know it's plus 730, so it's not like a guaranteed win by any means, but the MVP to score the first points in the Western Conference Finals after they lost game one, I'd like to put money on that. And then De'Aaron Fox. Now, listen, I think right now, as of right now, we're not sure if he's playing or not, but I would put a bet on his prop points, because if he doesn't play, you're obviously getting your money back from DraftKings. But if he does play, if you put his prop at 15 points, it's plus 147. So if he plays, I think 15 is money in the bank. Now, tonight's game, make sure to watch it. NBC tip is at 8:30 Eastern on NBC. So, like again, it's must-watch TV. I think you all should at least find a little bit of time tonight to watch that. Now, why sports news equal money, right? Here's what I want you to understand about this channel and what makes Edge King Media different from every other sports channel out there. Everything I just broke down, the Knicks comeback, Brunson performance, the Wemby film session, the series narratives, that's not just content. That's information. Take this information and we're going to dissect it and turn it into money. Like I said, not every video is going to have the news story and then combine that with how you bet that or how you play fantasy with that. But a lot of times it will. Tonight's one of those. I do believe the Chet Holmgren double-double, ice cold last night. Put your money on that. SGA first point scored. I mean, he's the MVP. It's the Western Conference Finals at home. Yes, I will take plus, what I say it was, plus 730 for the first point scored. Knowing Wembanyama is doing something historically right now, obviously it changes how you approach the Spurs futures, player props, DFS lineups, because I do think he's unstoppable. So putting him at his double-double stat line was like, I think it's minus 700 right now. So I'm not going to do that because minus 700. I'll probably never bet something that's minus 700. But, if you're looking for my number one bet, it would be the Chet double-double. So sports media world keeps, like I said before, it keeps these two worlds completely separate. The media, the news, the drama, the breaking stories, and then the DFS, the fantasy, and the sports betting. The news people don't touch betting, and the betting people don't really touch news. We're going to do both. Every video is going to have news storylines and most of the time also DFS betting angles. But again, I want to merge these two and create a community that is not out there yet. And this is that's the edge in Edge King Media. So here's where things are going to go from here, both in sports and on this channel. Like I said earlier, tonight, Spurs Thunder game 2. After what Wemby did in game 1, OK City is going to come out desperate, firing. SGA has something to prove after Wemby basically overshadowed his MVP award. So it should be an incredible game. Thursday, got the Kings. You got the Knicks and Cavs game 2. Does Mitchell respond? He has to, otherwise they're in some serious trouble. Do the Cavs come out with a different game plan? I don't really know if they need a different game plan. They played great for 90% of that game or 85% of that game. They just got to finish. And do the Knicks start hitting threes? The Knicks won by shooting ice cold behind the arc. They start hitting their threes. Good luck, Cleveland. So these are some of the questions that are going to determine the series on both ends. On the NFL side, NFL is my number one fantasy sport. My number one sport as a fan. Love football. I've been playing it since a little kid. Been doing fantasy for 30 years, basically. So that is my number one sports gambling and fantasy sport by far. So on that side, and yes, we are already in NFL mode here in May. There's never an off season when it comes to the NFL. You just had the 2026 schedule release, training camps coming in July, and there's plenty of storylines already developing. Rodgers is back. The whole Vrabel Rossini situation that everyone's tired of hearing about, that's still quote unquote evolving personally. And I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of trolls coming after me for saying this, but I just want Vrabel and Rossini's spouse to come out and be like, we have an open marriage. We ask for privacy. It is what it is. And then shut everyone up because I don't really care about that anymore. You also got the Giannis trade situation. Did his stock go down a little bit after the story coming out about how terrible of a locker room guy he is and being late to meetings and flights being delayed, all because of him? So there's going to be a massive crossover in these sports when we're talking about money, markets, sports gambling this fall. But one thing to know, we're going to cover it all. On this channel over the next few weeks, I've got a full DFS platform breakdown coming between DraftKings and PrizePicks and Underdog Fantasy, some FanDuel as well. So I want to talk about all those platforms and how to make actual money being a sports fan. And after that, I'm getting into PrizePicks and going to walk through my PrizePick process and the one thing I check before every single entry that most players completely missed. And we're going to keep doing this exactly how we did in this video. Breaking news, real takes, and the betting and DFS angle that connects it all. Everything's going to be free. I'm not doing, I can't think of the Patreon. I'm not going to do any Patreon. I'm not going to ask you for money to be a part of this program or part of this community. It's all going to be free. The only thing I ask is subscribe. Please stop right now. Take that cursor, hit that subscribe button, put on your notifications, like, comment good, bad, indifferent, ugly. It doesn't matter. I want all comments. I'm going to read everything. I'm totally aware that there's trolls are going to be out there, but honestly, I'm going to communicate with you guys in these comments, take your feedback, and really build a community here, like I said, that combines the sports news world with the fantasy betting world all in one. And I want to take this to the moon. I want to take this to Mars. Let's bring Elon with us. I want to take this channel. I want this to be one of the biggest sports media companies in the world. And I know that sounds crazy with the ESPNs and the McAfees and the Barstools, but I really think if we work together and we build this community together, we can build something very special that will not only be fun, entertaining, have knowledge to it, but also win you money. And this is, a side note, one thing too. If you got someone in your life who is into sports, into DFS, fantasy, betting, send this video to them. Tell them to get out here before football season starts, because the audience we build in May and June is the audience that's going to be ready to go in September and make money. That's what we want to make, a ton of money in NFL season, and we have the tools to do it. So trust me, you want to be here when September hits. So drop a comment below. Tell me who you've got winning these conference finals, Knicks, Cavs, Spurs, or Thunder. I'm going to read every single one of them. And I want to build this community from day one. It starts today, and I want to build this with you. So Edge King Media, we're just getting started. Hopefully you hit that subscribe button. Hopefully you like. Hopefully you comment. And let's build something special here and put Edge King Media to Mars.